Recently, Oklahoma Gardening was fortunate enough to win 3 national awards from the Garden Writers Association of America. And as a result, we were asked to do a segment on container gardening for CBS This Morning with Paula, Zahn, and Harry Smith. Well, because of late breaking news, the air date was postponed one day, and many of our viewers who missed this segment asked if we would rerun it. Well, I hope you enjoy it, and we'll see you again next week.
Try and get the answer. How about cucumbers growing up a trellis? Steve Dobbs does all that kind of stuff. He's the host of the regional PBS show, Oklahoma Gardening, and he joins us this morning from his container garden in Stillwater, Oklahoma. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning to both of you.
So what can you grow in a container garden, Steve?
Well, really just about anything from some of the smaller vegetables like radishes, peppers, broccoli, really just about all you can see here. I'd caution you, though, a little bit on some of the larger root containers like potatoes, but we're very fortunate in that plant breeders have developed some space-saving varieties just for container gardening that are smaller, compact plants but still yield standard fruit. And really the most important thing, though, is try to match up the size of the vegetable with the appropriate size container.
You like hanging baskets. How do those work out?
Well, Paula, we've had a lot of success with these. We grow tomatoes upside down, and this one you can see has got some fruit on it, and as the plant grows, it uprights itself, and then we try to tie it up if it gets too heavy with the fruit. So we usually encourage people to use cherry size or cherry type plants. And then of course over here we've got one we've just planted, and it's already starting to upright itself, and then we've added a little bit of color with some pink impatiens. But the process is really very simple. You just cut a hole in your container, and we've got a hanging basket, and we recommend usually 12 inches or larger. And then you just take a little tomato transplant, and you just insert it through the hole.
Always upside down.
Upside down, that's right. And then you just fill it with some potting soil, and we don't fill it all the way to the rim. We leave a little bit of space so we can water them in.
What other kinds of containers do you use that work out well?
Well, we've got quite a selection here just to show you. We've got a watering can and, of course, a cowboy boot for Oklahoma State University. We've got an old tire here, just about anything, a wagon, but something that's even very simple is just to buy a bag of potting soil, and then you paint it with the white latex paint. And the purpose of that is to keep the sun from deteriorating it so rapidly. And then you just cut a hole in it and plant some transplants like we've done here, the peppers. And then you don't want to forget to poke some holes along the bottom so that water will drain out. And we've also using trash bags. And the thing with this, though, the manufacturers are making those where they're photodegradable. So we've got a couple of trash bags put together, and then we'll also paint those to ensure the longevity.
That's pretty
Great
wacky.
idea, yeah.
Nutty. Well, how do you keep vining plants going then in these containers?
Well, we've planted a cucumber over here, and we've got it just in a standard landscape black plastic pot. And to make them a little bit more attractive, we place some 2x6s and put a little frame over it so it looks a little nicer. But as a cucumber starts to grow, we'll just train it right up the trellis here.
Is a trellis going to be strong enough to hang on to all of those cukes once they get, sort of eating size?
That's assuming that you really are actually growing something there, Harry.
It really will support it quite well. What you're seeing now are some cucumbers that we grew last year in raised bed gardens, and you see the tendrils wrapping themselves around the wire there for extra support. Now, if you're going to grow larger vegetables like pumpkins, we've devised a little support system there using women's nylon stockings to hold that heavier fruit so the fruit won't break off.
Quickly in closing, the trick and making sure your container plants actually produce something that's worth talking about.
Well, anytime you use container gardening, the plants are going to become root bound, so it's real important to water them often, and sometimes during the hot summer that may be twice a day. And then always add a little bit of fertilizer pretty regularly to keep them actively growing.
All right.
Steve Dobbs, thanks a bunch. Good to see you.
Thank you very much.
We hope you've enjoyed this classic from the Oklahoma Gardening Vault. Remember, even though these tips and techniques are timeless, there's always something new to learn in the world of gardening. By subscribing to both Oklahoma Gardening and OK Gardening Classics, you'll have access to a wealth of gardening knowledge, both classic and contemporary.